Okay, Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for our Tuesday evening class. So we are discussing Nectar of Devotion. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarini परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, Hare Krishna. Once again, welcome everyone. So we are discussing Nectar of Devotion. Last three classes, we have talked about what is bhakti, what are the characteristics of bhakti, different types of bhakti, how do we get bhakti, what is the qualification to get bhakti, and the happiness of bhakti, devotional service, surpasses all other happiness. And a devotee does not aspire for any other type of liberation. He is not interested in merging into the impersonal Brahmajyoti or driving the happiness by becoming one with the Lord. So today's discussion, we are going to talk about purity of devotional service. Okay, so how devotional service is so pure that it can uplift anybody and everybody. It does not depend on high birth. It does not depend on particular varna or ashrama. It does not depend on particular nation. So how great bhakti is that it can award equal opportunity for everyone to get connected with the Supreme Lord. Okay, so that is today's topic, the purity of devotional service. And this is based on chapter 5 of Nectar of Devotion. So here it states that devotional service is executed without any hope for gain. And devotional service cannot be checked by any material circumstances. It is open for all without any distinction. And it is the actual constitutional occupation of the living entity. Okay, so that is the ultimate goal, ultimate purpose of the living entity of the Jiva, to engage in devotional service of the Supreme Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text 6, it talks about Savai pumso paro dharmo yator bhaktir adhokshaje ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. So what is devotional service, or what is the real dharma of the living entity? So the supreme dharma, the supreme occupational duty of the living entity is by which one can attain to the loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord. And how that devotional service should be? Ahetuki, apratihata. That devotional service is which is unmotivated. There is no other hetu, there is no other motive to perform devotional service. Apratihata, it is uninterrupted. It's not that the devotional service is done once a week or one particular week of the year or one particular festival time. So the devotional service is uninterrupted. It's 24/7, 365 days a year. And the purpose of the devotion service is to satisfy, and it will satisfy the self and it will satisfy the Supreme Lord. So that is the ultimate occupation of all the living entities, okay, to engage in devotion service of the Supreme Lord. And that devotion service is not dependent on birth, caste, nation, or any such thing. Okay, many times the Brahmin class of people, they claim that only Brahmanas can recite particular part of the Shastra, only they can recite the Gayatri, only they can chant the particular mantra, and only they have the right to engage in bhakti. Even in the recent times, 500 years, 400 years ago, when Nityananda Prabhu had disappeared, after the disappearance of Lord Nityananda, a certain class of people, the priestly class of people, they started claiming themselves as descendants of Nityananda. So, being part of the Nityananda Vamsha. And they started calling themselves as the Goswami caste. And their claim was that practice and spreading of the devotion service belong to only that particular class, that only Nityananda Vamsha people are eligible to practice devotion service and spreading devotion service. Because Nityananda Prabhu, he was considered as distributing bhakti, distributing devotional service, and their descendants, his descendants, have the exclusive right on performing devotional service and spreading the devotional service. Okay, in this way, they basically claimed power for some time until Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as a lion guru, Simha guru, okay, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, he completely smashed their idea. So there was a great struggle for some time, but because of the preaching of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, it was corrected and practically established that devotional service is not restricted to a particular class of men. Anyone who is engaged in devotional service is actually already on the status of being a high class Brahmana. And once there was a assembly of all the Brahmanas. And in that assembly, Bhakti Vinod Thakur was invited to come and give a discourse. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur was not feeling well. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur sent his son, okay, Vimala Das, which is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he sent his son Vimala to go into that assembly and represent on behalf of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So as Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur went into that assembly, he was invited on to the dais to speak. And as he started speaking, he first glorified the Brahmanas. Okay, he said, Brahmanas, they are the head of the Lord's body. They are the head of the society. Because of the Brahmana, all this system is being maintained. But then he further added that any devotee, any Vaishnava is on the equal status of the Brahmana and actually higher than Brahmana, because by practicing devotion service, he's already on the status of being a high class Brahmana. So he did not criticize the Brahmanas or put them down. He said, yes, Brahmanas are superior. And if such Brahmana is actually a Vaishnava also, then that is even more wonderful. So any Vaishnava, any person who is practicing devotion service, he automatically becomes equal to a Brahmana. And in that assembly, when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati spoke like this, actually the whole assembly ran to touch the feet of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And it was thousands and thousands of people, and the police who was kind of arranging all this crowd, they were afraid that it could lead to stampede, that people will get onto each other and it could cause some accident. So because all these people were running to touch the feet of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So what did they do? The organizers, they dipped the feet of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in the bucket, and then spat water on all the assembled people to kind of satisfy them, so they are not rushing towards Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati to touch his feet. So the point is, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur actually defeated the so-called idea of certain class of people that, okay, devotional service, practicing of the devotional service and spreading of devotional service belongs to a particular class only, as who belongs to Nityananda Vamsha, who are born Brahmanas. So these so-called Brahmanas, they claim that one who is not born into a Brahmana family cannot receive the sacred thread. Because Srila Prabhupada gave Brahmanical Diksha, Brahmanical initiation to Western people also, and Indian people who were born into as a Vaishya or Kshatriya or even a Shudra class of people. But if they are eligible, if they purify themselves, if they practice the devotional principles, the following the rules and regulation, if they uplift themselves, they were also awarded this Brahmanical initiation. And the so-called Brahmanas, they actually criticize this, ridicule this. But we do not accept such a theory because it is not supported by Rupa Goswami or by the strength of various scriptures. Because in many scriptures, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Padma Puran, in Skanda Puran, there are so many quotations which prove that anybody who is practicing devotional service can rise to the platform of a Brahmana. Okay, so here one example is Srila Rupa Goswami. He is specifically mentioning here that every person has the birthright to accept devotional service and to become Krishna conscious. He has given many evidences from the scripture, and he quoted one particular reference from Padma Puran where sage Vashishta is telling King Dilipa. Okay, we know in Lord Ramachandra's ancestry, there is a king called King Dilip, and Vashishta Muni is their Rajpurohit, family priest. So Vashishta Muni is telling King Dilip that, my dear king, everyone has the right to execute devotion service, just as he has the right to take early bath in the month of Magh. And there are more evidences from Skanda Puran. Okay, in the Sakand Puran also it is said there is a country known as Mayuradhwaja, the lower caste people who are considered even less than Shudras, like the Chandalas, the Malichas, they are also initiated into the Vaishnava cult of devotion service. And when they properly dress themselves with tilk on their bodies and beads in their hands, they appear to be coming from the Vaikuntha. Okay? In fact, they look very beautiful that immediately they surpass the ordinary Brahmanas. So this is a verse from Skanda Puran. Okay. So like that, there are so many references. And then Sanatan Goswami talked in his Bhakti Vilas, Hari Bhakti Vilas, okay, where he clearly states that any person who is properly initiated into the Vaishnava cult certainly becomes a Brahmana. As much as the Kansa, okay, there is a metal, Kamsa, which is bell metal. Okay, bell metal, when it comes in contact with mercury, it can turn into gold. Okay, so same way, as soon as somebody is initiated into the Vaishnava cult, who is following properly all the rules and regulation, he also can certainly become a Brahmana. And a bona fide spiritual master, under the guidance of authorities, can turn anyone to the Vaishnava cult, so that naturally he may become topmost Brahmana. Okay, so that is the power of devotional service. It's not that it is limited to a particular class of people. Anybody and everybody has the right to perform devotional service. But as we say that by taking birth in a Brahmana family, one does not become a Brahmana. So same way, one should not think that, okay, I have taken Diksha, okay, from a bona fide guru. Now, as soon as I have taken Diksha, I have become completely purified and I have become to the level of the Brahmanas. So Srila Rupa Goswami warns that if a person is initiated by a bona fide guru, he should not think that by simply accepting of initiation, by accepting Diksha, his business is finished now. One has to follow the rules and regulation very carefully. And if after accepting the spiritual master and being initiated, one does not follow the rules and regulation of devotional service, then he is still fallen. So what is more important here? Is just accepting Diksha is more important, or actually following the rules and regulation of devotional service are more important? Okay, so as it is clear from Rupa Goswami's statement, one should not just think that my business is done now, I have become very purified, I have become equal to Brahmana by taking initiation. One has to follow the rules and regulation. And Srila Prabhupada actually says that Diksha is a formality. What is the purpose? What is the meaning of Diksha? Okay, what is the meaning of word Diksha?
Surrender. Initiation.
Surrender. Yeah, I mean, initiation is translation of Diksha, English word, but what is the real meaning of Diksha? Okay, so the real meaning of Diksha, the stands for Divyagyan. And when the divine knowledge is revealed in the heart, that's the meaning of Diksha. So accepting Diksha, that is sitting in the yajna, sitting in the havan, and then Guru will give new name, he will give beads on which he has chanted. So that process is a formality. It's a formality. What is the real purpose, real meaning of Diksha is that one has surrendered unto the spiritual master and one has received that transcendental knowledge in one's heart. He is convinced about that transcendental knowledge that I am not the body, I am the spirit soul, and my ultimate goal is to serve the Supreme Lord. So that is the meaning of Diksha. So one should not think that the day I got the new name from Guru, I got this the chanting beads, that is the day I got Diksha. The day you accept the spiritual master, the bona fide spiritual master, and you are ready to receive instruction from the spiritual master, you are ready to surrender to the spiritual master, that is the day you got Diksha. After that, sitting in the yajna, getting that name and bead and all that, that is just a formality. So there are references in the scripture. Generally, we say without Diksha, we cannot progress in devotional service. Without accepting a bona fide spiritual master, one cannot go back to Godhead. Yes, it is true in general in most cases, because our conditioning is so great that until we surrender unto a spiritual master, we receive initiation, we do not come to that platform of accepting the rules and regulation, following the process seriously. But if somebody is sincere enough that even though formally they have not accepted Diksha, but in their heart they have accepted the teachings of a bona fide guru, they also can qualify to go back to Godhead. Even though after that they have not received formal Diksha, but in their heart they have accepted the Guru. So here Rupa Goswami is saying that as a person does not becomes a Brahmana by just taking birth in a Brahmana family, he has to follow the Brahmanical culture. Same way, by just accepting Diksha, one does not become purified and become equal to Brahmana. He has to follow the rules and regulation of devotional service. Okay, and scriptures say that by birth actually everybody is a Shudra. Okay, so in Skanda Puran, there is a verse which states, Janmana jayato Shudra, Sanskarat Dvija Uchyate. By birth, everybody is born as Shudra. And by practicing the samskaras, by performing the sanskaras, then one comes to the level of becoming a Dvija, uh, twice born. So by birth, everybody is Shudra. If even if in a Brahmana family, generally Brahmana claim, oh, we are Brahmana. There's somebody born in a Brahmana family, automatically a Brahmana. But if you ask a Brahmana, so-called Brahmana, that okay, you claim that your child, your son born is a Brahmana, but did you do Garbhadan Sanskar? Did you do Upanayan Samskar? Did you do this Samskar? There are 16 Samskar which are to be performed in the lifetime. And many of the Samskars are in the early phase of life, starting with the Garbhadan Samskar. So that Garbhadan Samskar is performed even before the birth of the child, before the father and mother unite. So before that, the Samskar is performed. So did you perform that Samskar? If not, actually the child born is a Shudra. After performing those samskaras, one come to the level of becoming a Dvija. So same way, even if somebody is not born in a Brahmana family, but after performing particular certain skaras, that person can also lift to the level of a Brahmana. So if by birth only somebody to be considered as a Brahmana, so same way then by birth only somebody can be considered as a doctor also. That's a child is born in a doctor family and he to be considered as a doctor. So why to search for somebody else to get your surgery done? You can go approach a son of a doctor and ask him to perform a surgery for you. It doesn't work like that, right? You want to go to a qualified doctor. So same way, qualified Brahmana is somebody who is really practicing the devotional service. So further, it describes, even actually in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is mentioning that those who take shelter of me, even though they may be of a lower birth, okay, they can attain the supreme destination. Anybody remember where does this verse come in Bhagavad Gita?
I think in 9th chapter, Prabhuji.
Yes, this verse comes in the 9th chapter, where Krishna is saying, Mam hi partha vyapashitya ye api asyu papayonayah istriyo vaishyas tatha shudra te api janti paramam gati. So even somebody is born in the lower birth, and Krishna is giving the example of istriyo vaishyas tatha shudra. Even if somebody is as a woman, as a vaishya, as shudra, even they can attain the supreme destination if they take shelter in me. So no matter in which varna or ashrama somebody is born, if somebody is born as a shudra or a vaishya or a kshatriya, they can also attain supreme destination by taking shelter of Krishna, by performing devotional service. Okay, why here these particular names are mentioned as a Striya, Vaishya, Tatha Shudra? Because generally the Vaishya mentality is what? It is like a money making, right? The business minded. If somebody is a Vaishya, even if he goes to the temple, there also he will look at the in a monetary terms only. But if that person also takes the devotion service seriously, that can be uplifted to the supreme destination. Sometimes some people are very business minded. Their whole consciousness is absorbed in business only. Okay. Once there was this businessman. Now he has grown old. His sons are taking care of the business, and they are thinking, oh, we should send our father to some pilgrimage. And there's a group of devotees who are going for a pilgrimage to Kashi, Gaya, and all these places, and they requested, can you take our father also? He can also join on the pilgrimage. At least we are not able to go and take him to the pilgrimage, but he can go with you. So they agreed. They took this person with them, and they went to different places of pilgrimage, to Vrindavan, Mathura, and Haridwar, and ultimately they came to Kashi. And in Kashi, there is a very famous ghat, right? The Manikarnika Ghat, where the dead bodies are burned. So as they were visiting this Manikarnika Ghat, this elderly person, seeing all these dead bodies burning there throughout the day, all day there's so many cremations are happening, so many dead bodies are being burned. And this person finally had tears in his eyes. He started crying. And these devotees thought, oh, how wonderful it is. Finally, maybe he developed some vairagya. He is thinking that what is the use of life? And they asked him, so why are you crying? Why are you having tears in your eyes? What are you feeling? He said, I am feeling I wasted my life. And the devotees were thinking, oh, wonderful. Now at least he got this realization. And further, this person said, I wasted my life. Actually, I spent all my life in doing other business. Actually, I should have done the business of wood selling. All these, so many dead bodies come for the cremation here. I could have made lot more money by selling wood here. Like that is a Vaishya mentality. He's always thinking about money making. But Krishna is saying, even if a business class person, Vaishya category, if that person takes shelter of me, he can also attain to supreme destination. And Istriya, the woman, now it's not talking about all Matajis here who are sincerely practicing devotion service, who are devotees. In general, right? Krishna is giving as a in general category as a woman because um, women spend more time in their own makeup, taking care of the body. They're standing in front of the mirror and doing so much makeup. Mirror, mirror, how do I look? Right? Spending so much time like that. And so, mirror is their kind of a best friend who tells them how beautiful you are. So, but if somebody comes out of that bodily consciousness, bodily concept of life, and take shelter of Krishna, anybody can become purified and can attain to that supreme destination. So that is the point which Krishna is trying to mention here in Bhagavad Gita. Even somebody who has taken birth as woman, Vaishya, Shudra, all of these categories can also attain to the supreme destination. So so far we discussed the first point, the purity of devotion service. It does not depend on birth in a particular class of family. It does not depend on nation, caste, creed, gender. Everybody can attain to the supreme destination. Okay, be it Indian or a Russian or Chinese or European, American, South African, anybody, if somebody seriously takes to this devotion service, they can attain the perfection of life. Then the next point comes is devotional service does not require any purification, that it does not require any previous purification. And if even if there is a fall down while practicing of devotion service, there is no need of prayashchit. See, generally, if somebody has made a big mistake, okay, in following certain ritualistic process, they have to undergo a what do you call as a prayashchit. See, there is one thing as paschatap. Paschatap means a feeling of remorse that, oh, I have done something wrong. But prayashchit is undergoing certain austerity, certain purificatory activities, purificatory process if somebody has fallen down. So in karma, in jnana, in dhyana, if somebody has performed something wrong, if somebody has fallen down, they have to undergo purificatory process as a prayashchit. But in bhakti, while practicing devotion service, even if somebody has committed some mistake in observing the rules and regulation, if somebody has fallen down, one does not have to observe certain prayashchit. All one has to do is just get up again and follow the process, follow the rules and regulation again. Just like if a child falls down while walking, all he need to do is just get up and walk again. So same way in performing devotion service, if somebody has committed mistake in following certain rules and regulation, one just need to have that feeling of remorse and continue practicing the devotion service. Okay, there is a story at the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There was a Brahmana, and by mistake, now this Brahmana who is performing all these ritualistic ceremonies, he happened to drink water from an outcast person. and he was rejected by all his society people, all other brahmanas. They rejected him, that, oh, you have drank water from an outcast person and you have also become outcast. So he approached some other brahmana and asked for, what is the solution, what should I do to correct the situation, what is the prashchit? He was told that if you can drink the boiling ghee, that will be your prashchit. What does it really mean? Do you drink the boiling ghee? Means ultimately, indirectly, it is saying you commit suicide. You have to give up this body and you will be born again, and then you have to continue. So that is your prashchit. So he was torn apart, that my whole society has rejected me. And he happened to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He came to see Mahaprabhu and asked him that what has happened. His whole society has rejected him because he happened to drink water from an outcast person. So what is his prayashit? What could he do? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, simply chant the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By chanting of the holy name, all your impurities will be removed. Ye cheto darpanamarjanam bhav mahadavagni nirvapanam. So by chanting of the holy name, all this contamination is removed and one becomes equal to as a Brahmana. So in devotional service, if somebody has committed any mistake, if somebody has fallen down, all we need to do is just continue, just practice again. Now, the next point is the devotional service versus occupational duties. What is more important? Sometimes we think I have to perform my occupational duties, I have to take care, I have to do my worldly duties, my responsibility towards the family, my occupation, my nation, and all that. So I have all of these responsibilities, my occupational duties. So there are so many references from the scriptures that if somebody is performing all their other duties perfectly, but they are not engaging in devotional service, all their occupational duties are just a burden. It's shram eva hi kevalam. But if somebody is performing devotional service, and if he even falls short on performing his other responsibilities, he is still better situated. Okay, so in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text 8, there is a very beautiful verse which states, Dharma swanishtitah pumsa vishwaksena katha suyah nautpadyet yadiratim shrama evahi kevalam. So dharma swanishtitah pumsa, all the dharma, all the occupational duties somebody is performing very well, perfectly. But if those duties are not developing attraction for the Supreme Lord, now padyet yadiratim, if they are not developing one's attraction for the Supreme Lord, shrama evahi kevalam, then all those responsibilities somebody is fulfilling is just a useless labor. So somebody may be doing so many responsibilities. Sometimes people claim, right? Oh, you guys have think you have become a devotee. You are sitting and chanting the holy name and sitting in the temple and clapping. What is this going to give to you? You are not doing your other worldly responsibilities. What are you contributing to the society? But here it says somebody may be performing their duties perfectly well in the society, but if they are not engaging in devotional service, that is simply a waste. On the other side, now there are so many other quotes in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, fifth chapter, 17 text. Narad Muni is speaking to Vyasadeva when Narad Muni gives his own life history. And in that context, Narad Muni is speaking to Vyasadeva that even if one does not execute his specific occupational duty, but immediately takes direct shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Hari, Lord Krishna, then there is no fault on his part. And in all circumstances, his position is secure. Okay, so even if somebody does not perform occupational duties, but he has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Hari, then his position is secure. And even if because of some bad association, if somebody falls down while executing devotional service, or if one does not complete his course of devotional service and one dies untimely, still he is not at loss. Okay, as in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, right, there is no loss in this process. Even if somebody makes little progress, even 10% progress, there is no loss, because one will continue from that point. Whereas in material life, even if somebody has made 100% success in achieving something materially, somebody has got PhD degree, somebody has got big bank balance, name, fame, position in the society, but all that is lost at death. But in devotional service, if somebody has not got 100% success, nothing is lost. So a person who is simply discharging occupational duties based on his varna and ashrama, but does not take to Krishna consciousness, he practically does not gain the true benefit of human life. Okay, so that is Narad Muni's statement to Vyasadeva. Somebody may be perfectly doing his duties as per the varna and ashrama, but if he is not performing devotional service, if he has not surrendered unto the Supreme Lord, then he is not getting the benefit of his human life. So what is the conclusion of this statement? That all living entities who are engaged fanatically, some people become fanatic also for worldly activities, for the activities of sense gratification, without knowing that this process will not help them getting out of this material bondage, material contamination. And same way in Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, in the statements of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj is also speaking a very important point here. Prahlad Maharaj says in 7th chapter, in 7th canto, 9th chapter, when he is praying to Nrsingadev, so he says, if a Brahmana has all the Brahmanical qualifications, okay, which is stated in the Sanat Sujata. So if a Brahmana has all those Brahmanical qualification, but if he is not a devotee of the Lord, if he is averse to the lotus feet of the Lord, even though having taken birth in a Brahmana family, he is lower than a devotee who may be a dog eater previously. But now he has dedicated everything, his mind, words, activities, wealth, his life. He has dedicated everything to the Supreme Lord, even though he may have taken birth in the family of a dog eater. That person is better than a Brahmana. But a Brahmana who is a namesake Brahmana, but he is averse to the lotus feet of the Lord, he is worse than the dog eater. Okay. So we can see the contrast here, such a heavy statement. So for the Supreme Lord, what does really matter is somebody who has taken shelter of the Supreme Lord. So a devotee who may be even born in a low class family, but now has taken to the process of bhakti, he is chanting the holy name of the Lord, following the rules and regulation. He is better than such Brahmana, because the devotee can purify his whole family, whereas the so-called Brahmana, because of his false prestige, cannot purify even himself. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying, even a person born in a demoniac family, in a um, meat eater family, if he becomes a devotee of the Lord, he can deliver his whole family. And again in 11th canto of Bhagavatam, where Lord Krishna is speaking to Uddhava, Lord Krishna also tells Uddhava that anybody who takes shelter of me, completely surrendering unto me and following the instruction, giving up all his occupational duties, is to be considered as a first class man. So in this statement, what is Krishna telling? That anybody who is generally attracted to philanthropic activities, ethical, moral principles, political, social welfare activities, they may be considered nice men from the material calculation point of view. But from Srimad Bhagavatam and other authentic Vedic scripture, what do we learn? That if a person simply engages in Krishna consciousness and discharge devotional service, he is far, far, far better situated than such person. Okay, and in 11th canto Bhagavatam itself, there is another statement where Karbhajana Muni is addressing Maharaj Nimi. Maharaj, he is telling Maharaj Nimi that, my dear king, if somebody giving up all occupational duties as they are prescribed in the different Varna and Ashrama, but takes complete shelter unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, that person is not a debtor. He has fulfilled all his obligations towards all different class of people, the great sages, the ancestors, other living entities, his family members, the society in general. So if somebody takes shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, engages in the devotional service, he is freed from all the debts. See, generally, we have these 5 types of debt. Okay, debt towards the sages, debt towards our ancestors, other living entities, our relatives, and the society in general. Why? What is the debt towards the sages? Because we are receiving knowledge based on what is composed by the sages. Say, Srila Vyasadeva has composed all this Vedic literature. Okay, he has compiled the Vedas, the Mahabharata, the histories, the Puranas, the Upanishads, and we are receiving knowledge based on these Vedic scriptures. So we have a debt towards Vyasadeva and all other great sages who are his followers, who have given the additions to all these literatures, all these scriptures. So we have debt towards the sages. We have debt towards our ancestors, because of whom, in whose family we have taken birth, and we are utilizing the wealth we have received we have inherited the wealth in their family lineage. So we have debt towards the ancestors. That's why some person is supposed to perform the pindadan for his ancestors. And we have debt towards other living entity also in journal. Even earthworm, he is contributing something for our maintenance. Because of the earthworms, the we get the roots and fruits, right? Because they are doing some work while living underground, because of which the plants grow. And even the bees, if somebody is utilizing honey, which is because of the labor of the bees. So we have debt towards so many living entities. And then our relatives, our family members, because who are doing so many different activities for us. So we have debt towards them. And society in general, because we are, as a human being, we are part of the society. We are social beings, and we have to be dependent on each other. So that's why we have debt towards the society members. So we have so many debts. And if we try to return the favor to all these different people, different personalities, to get rid of all this debt, it may not be even possible. And here the statement is, by engaging in the devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, one is freed from all these debts. Because once the root is satisfied, the whole tree becomes satisfied. But if somebody is trying to enjoy by himself, then he cannot completely satisfy himself, and he is not able to satisfy all the different limbs. Just like the example of hand, if the hand try to keep the food to himself, do not put that food into the mouth, which goes into the belly, and then it breaks down, the energy is spread throughout the body. But if the hand thinks, I will keep it to myself, he is not willing to cooperate with the whole body, then this hand is selfish and it dries up himself, becomes weak by itself, and the whole body becomes weak. So same way, somebody who is just trying to enjoy for himself, being as a materialistic person, he cannot satisfy himself and he is not able to satisfy all the other debts which he has. But when somebody takes shelter of the Supreme Lord, engages in the devotional service, all the debts are automatically satisfied. So that is the glory of devotional service. So far we discussed bhakti is without any motive. Bhakti does not depend on birth in a particular family, particular nation, caste, creed. In bhakti, there is no need of any previous purification, or even if somebody uh, falls down for performing certain rules and regulation, he does not have to go through prashchitta process, the reformatory process. Just continuing to engage in devotional service, one again becomes purified. And devotional service is superior than just engaging in one's occupational duty, the so-called occupational duty based on one's own varna and ashrama, because one cannot even pay off one's debt by just performing one's occupational duty. Now, the ultimately purpose of bhakti, it should give rise to ecstasy. It should give rise to bhava. Okay, if we see there are 9 stages in bhakti. Anybody knows what are these 9 stages in bhakti?
Hmm.
Starts from
Shravana,
Shraddha.
Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Anathaniti, Bhajan Kriya.
Yes. So Adho Shraddha, Tato Sadhu Sangha, Tato Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. Okay, so these are the 9 stages of bhakti, starting from Shraddha. So we have to have little faith in the beginning. Then based on that faith, we come in the association of devotees. And by coming in the association of devotees, so Adho Shraddha Tato Sadhu Sangha. And when we come in the association of devotees, then we engage in bhajana kriya, chanting of the holy name, reading the scripture, hearing from the scriptures. So that is bhajana kriya. And while performing this bhajana, we are removing unwanted things, anarthas. So it leads to anartha nivritti. And as anartha nivritti is happening, one is becoming stronger in his faith. Nishtha. Okay, so Shraddha comes to the level of Nishtha. And then our Ruchi develops. More and more taste come. And then Asakti. Then one becomes attached to this process. And then one comes to the level of Bhava. And from Bhava, then one goes to the level of Prema. So this stage of Bhava is actually very, very, very advanced stage. Okay, when we say bhavagrahi janardhana, bhagwan to bhav ke bhukhe hain, so that is the bhav. It's not just some sentimental thing. Krishna is bhavagrahi. He is looking for that bhava which comes after this anartha nivritti, nishtha, ruchi, asakti. Then we come to the level of bhava. Sometimes people make it very cheap. Okay, there is a difference in this real bhava and bhavukta, being emotional. Many people, they just exhibit the symptoms of sentiment. Okay, not real emotion for the Supreme Lord, just some sentiment, bhavukta. So there is a difference in bhavukta and bhav, sentiment versus real emotion. Okay, many people, they keep Laddu Gopal at home, right? Their deity as Laddu Gopal, and they want to keep Laddu Gopal with them everywhere. They are sitting and eating and they want to put Laddu Gopal there on the dining table. They are going somewhere in the market and they want to carry their Laddu Gopal. So they are just carrying Laddu Gopal everywhere. And sometimes they are dressing Laddu Gopal and they don't even realize they are holding Gopalji from their tongue and putting him upside down. So what kind of that sentiment is there? There has to be so much of cleanliness and purification in serving the Supreme Lord. He is Supreme Lord himself. And they are just carrying him everywhere in the basket, putting him everywhere, which is not even a clean place, while eating with their dirty hands. They may be touching, they have not even taken bath, and they uh, offer something to Laddu Gopal. So one has to follow certain particular Shuchi Muchi principles, the principles of cleanliness. But they think, oh, we are very attached to Bal Gopal. We cannot live without him. We have to carry him everywhere. If you really have that much attachment, then why don't you follow proper rules and regulation which are told in the scriptures? If you have such love for the Lord, so much attachment, so it's not that they are at the level of bhava, they are just showing some bhavukta, some sentiment. Krishna is saying bhavagrahi. He is bhavagrahi. He is looking for our real emotion. Are we really attached to the Supreme Lord? Do we have that sort of ruchi and asakti? Okay, even the bhoga which we put to Krishna, it has to be, bhava has to be there. Otherwise, Krishna does not accept that bhoga. We may be putting bhoga in front of Krishna, but is Krishna really accepting that? What does Krishna says? पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं जो मे भक्त्यः पृच्छति तदहं भक्ति उपहरितम् अश्नामि प्रियतात्मनः. If somebody offers me with love and devotion, then I accept it. So there has to be that love and devotion in cooking, and then having that love and devotion while offering to the Lord. Then Krishna accepts this. If somebody just offers to Krishna as a show off, that, oh, I have so much things, I can offer you chappan bhoga, I can offer you nice preparation. But if there is no love and devotion, then Krishna does not accept it. If we know the classical story from Mahabharata, when Krishna goes to Hastinapur as a peace messenger. Now Duryodhan, just to please Krishna, just to do buttering, they wanted to invite Krishna to the best palace and offer him the best food. Okay, they prepared chappan bhog, all the meva pakwan and everything. But Krishna told Duryodhana, I don't want to come to your palace to accept prasad, because there is no love and devotion. Love and devotion means we have to show that love and devotion to whoever are associated with the Lord also. All the paraphernalia which is associated to the Lord. Duryodhana is having so much enmity towards the Pandavas who are the great devotee of the Lord. But he want to showcase to Krishna just that how opulent I am and how opulent food I can offer to you. So Krishna rejected. Rather, Krishna went to the house of Vidura, where wife of Vidura, because she also is such a great devotee, seeing Krishna face to face, she is filled with ecstasy and she is completely lost her external consciousness. She is serving banana to Krishna, but she is peeling, throwing the fruit from inside and serving banana peel. And Krishna is eating that also. Why? Because there is love and devotion. So Krishna accepts our bhakti with love and devotion. So there has to be bhava in whatever we are offering to Krishna. So devotional service actually should give rise to ecstasy. Okay, there is a very beautiful bhajan, beautiful song. It says, Goranga bolite have pulka sharira. As soon as we chant the name of Goranga, what should happen? हमारा जो शरीर है वो पुलकित हो जाना चाहिए. There has to be shivering of the body as soon as we chant Gauranga's name. Do we feel that? Do we have that emotion? Do we feel that ecstasy that as soon as we chant the name of Gauranga, that we get shivering in the body? Then Hari Hari Bolite Nayana Babe Nira. As soon as we chant Hari Hari, when will be there tears in the eyes? So if we come to that stage by chanting the name of the Lord, we get tears in the eyes. By chanting Gauranga, we get shivering in the body. Then it means we have come to that stage of ecstasy. Sometime in some particular occasion, some particular kirtan, maybe somebody have experienced that, or you all may have experienced that some particular moment you may have felt that ecstasy, that while in the kirtan you became very emotional, right? You felt that kind of ecstasy or choking up of the voice. No, we may have felt that ecstasy once in a while in a particular occasion, but we do not feel that in the morning when you're sitting to chant, when you're chanting Hare Krishna, do you feel the tears coming from the eyes or your voice choking up? No, why? Because we are just going into the kind of as a routine. So the devotion should give rise to ecstasy. That is the meaning when we have really uh, understood the value of the holy name and understood the value of this devotional service. In Mangalarti, which we sing in the morning, in that also there is a stanza which says, Mahaprabhur Kirtana Nritya Gita Vaditramadhyan Manasora Sena Romancha Kampa Shutaranga Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charnaravindam. So in that stanza, what is it saying? While chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing, playing the musical instrument, the spiritual master is always gladdened by this Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. Why? Because he is relishing the mallows of pure devotion service. Sometimes his hair stand on end. He feels quivering in the body. The tears flow from his eyes like waves. Ashru taranga bhajo. Okay, so romancha, kampa. So he's feeling ecstasy, hair standing on the end, quivering on the body, the tears falling from the eyes. To that supreme master, spiritual master, to that respect, we offer our respectful obeisances at the feet of such a spiritual master. So that is the level of ecstasy that devotion can give if we really practicing that devotion, not just on the formality sake, on the name sake, but when we really come to this stage of nishtha, ruchi, asakti, then bhava, even at the stage of bhava, coming to the stage of bhava is such a elevated stage. And only by practicing devotional service when one can come to that stage, not by practicing of karma or jnana or dhyana. Only by practicing devotional service one can come to that stage of bhava and prema. So that is the glory of devotional service, that is the purity of devotional service. Okay, so after this chapter, now up to here we have talked about all these different things in terms of how wonderful bhakti is. It surpasses liberation. It is without any pre-qualification, and the different characteristics of devotional service. Now from the next chapter, it will come to the 64 different limbs of devotional service. How to actually perform devotional service. What are the different activities involved in devotional service? So now onwards, from sixth chapter of Nectar of Devotion, it will become more practical. Okay, what are the different things to do in devotional service as a Vaidi sadhana bhakti? Okay, so we'll start that discussion from next session. So I will stop here. Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Okay, and let's see if there are any discussion points, any question.
Prabhuji, suppose we, after taking Diksha, if some for occupational reasons, you you do some small offenses and all, like maybe having food outside or sometimes like that, small things would happen by nature. Um, is it I mean, okay, sort of things. And, some people feel that, Diksha, you have to be totally a state of mind before you take that.
Right. So we discussed what is the meaning of Diksha. Diksha means to accept that divine knowledge by surrendering to the spiritual master, right? And you take a pledge to follow the rules and regulation or the instructions of the spiritual master. Now, the instruction of the spiritual master are also based on uh, which will help us to progress in devotion service. Now, when it comes to eating outside, all these practical things, there are so many things which we have to deal with on a practical level, on a practical basis. So all that guidance we can get how to deal with those situations. For example, eating outside. So one has to be very careful to accept only food which is sattvic, which you can offer to the Lord and then accept it. Okay, not that okay, I'm going outside and I have to please other people and I will also eat whatever they are eating. So not like that. You have to be careful. You have to be sincere that I am going to follow the rules and regulation. No meat eating, no intoxication, no onion, garlic, no caffeine. But sattvic food, I will try to get sattvic food, fruits, nuts, milk products, and I will accept those. I can offer, even if you are not able to offer to the Lord, putting in a plate and physically offering, but at least in the mind, you can offer to the Lord. Okay. Sometime as quickly as just calling out to the Lord, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. So you are at least recognizing that everything belongs to the Lord. I am just mentally offering it to the Lord first, and then I accept. And only those things which are not violating any regulatory principle. So there are all practical guidance available how to deal with all these different situations. All we need is sincerity that yes, I'm going to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. I'm going to follow the principles.
No gambling, Prabhuji. Sometimes we feel, uh, putting in investment in mutual fund is okay. It's not a
Yes.
gambling. Stocks maybe amounts to this one. So
So
sometimes,
what does this gambling really mean? Okay, so yes, we are not going to the casinos and kind of playing gambling and all that. But sometimes people may feel that okay, what about stocks? What about mutual funds and all? So gambling really means which is driving your consciousness always into these activities, money making, that okay, I will invest here and I will make more money. So if you are everyday basis, somebody is checking their stocks, checking their um, share market and everything and thinking, oh, I'm going to take money from here, from this stock and put in that, invest in that stock, that is gambling. But if you are just putting the money into some mutual funds, some investment, and just let it be there, you are not every day consciously thinking of that, then it does not consider as gambling. Okay, it is just like putting money into your saving account, into some fixed deposit or something. So otherwise, all of us work in corporate world. We have something as a maybe retirement saving plan, 401k. So whatever money is shared by company, even if you do not put your share, if company is giving you particular percentage, 2%, 4%, now that is being invested somewhere, right? So by default everybody is putting money somewhere in some stock, some mutual fund. But as long as you are not becoming too conscious to just check every day and start evaluating where should I put, where should I take out money, then it's okay. But if if your consciousness is always into that, then it becomes like gambling.
for example, if somebody wants to start up their own, or they want to have this, unless it's a bit of a struggle, the startups and all.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you know, okay, which opportunity gives you a good return, until you establish, and once Once you are getting the proper returns and you are able to support few other people, that's also good service to the community. And then you think, okay, okay, I'm not aspiring to go 10x or some, whatever is flowing, we accept it as a part of the
Yeah, so that's what we are saying. We have to think what is the ultimate goal, that yes, I need to sustain myself, but at the same time, I don't want to become fully absorbed in these things, right? So in our movement also, we know there are so many devotees who are businessmen. There is a devotee who is into the stock market, okay, who spent all his life in the stock market. We say stock exchange, putting money in stock is gambling, but how to utilize that, that also depends. Yeah, Anand Vrindavan Prabhu, I don't know if you have heard the name. He was in stock market. And there are so many other devotees, Vivek Bindra. He is a high class businessman. He is a business coach also. So he spent so much time analyzing business and giving business ideas. But all that could be utilized in the service of the Supreme Lord. Our goal is not to just keep thinking, how will I grow more and more? How will I make more and more money? Yes, I have to do my bare minimum to maintain myself. I have to earn my living, but that is not the only goal of my life. My ultimate goal is to engage in devotion service and to progress in devotion service. So we have to connect with the right people, right person who can give us guidance in our particular line, right? If I have a desire that okay, I want to open my own company, we can take particular guidance about that also. We can get linked with other devotees maybe who have gone through that process, who are maybe giving counseling in that process, and we can clarify things.
the situation is such that we see many times we don't want to get into the wrong practices and all, but unless we are really convincing or forcing, the business doesn't crack. The situation is that uh, I mean, one of my friend was father was jokingly saying that business means किसी को फंसाना है. It is not like, I mean, he is trying to selling and marketing, is today boiling down to really,
See,
deceiving people and doing it.
that person is not practicing bhakti. First of all, we should understand. Okay, his whole purpose is just to do business to make money, either on the loss of others. He want to make his profit. Doesn't matter if somebody else are losing. But as a devotee, our goal is that okay, I want to do business, but at the same time, I don't want to cheat others. There is a statement, स्वार्थ के लिए परमार्थ का लॉस नहीं हो जाना चाहिए. कि our परमार्थ, what is परमार्थ? जो सबसे बड़ा हित है, परम अर्थ, राइट? स्वार्थ का नुकसान चाहे हो जाए, पर परमार्थ का नुकसान नहीं होना चाहिए. Means you may lose materially, but at the spiritual level, you don't want to be a loser. So you should not do any activity, any karma to make money for growing your business, that you are cheating others so that my business can grow. But ultimately, because you will be losing from the karmic point of view. Okay, and if you have any other discussion on this, any question, we can talk privately also if you need any other clarification. Okay, anybody else has any comment?
Only thing,
Okay.
Prabhuji, I was thinking was Shabri is a classical example
Yes.
of, really just because you're born, something doesn't matter.
Right. So that is a beautiful example from Ramayana. Shabri was born in Shabarkul, which is a lower class family, but she became such an exalted devotee that Lord Ram is even eating from her hands.
And tells her that Navada Bhakti she is achieved, that is it, what he says, and that's why he says you are eligible for moksha, if I remember correctly. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Shabri is the same place where even Ayappa Swami temple is there, right? I think the same Shabrimala.
I'm not exactly sure exactly where the temple is, but we know the whole pastime of Shabari, how Lord Ramachandra gave her such an exalted position and gave her the lessons on Navada Bhakti. So there are so many exemplary devotees.
Prabhuji.
Okay, if no other question, we'll stop it here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anand Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Pranam.
Hare Krishna.